Thank you for joining us today on Platform. Platform will bring guests from all walks of life to talk about them. But today we're happy that we have somebody from the other part of the world. And you would be wondering what he's doing here in Nigeria and particularly in Plateau State. He will be telling us about himself and what their mission here in Jos. My name is Yakubu Tadi, your uncle, and we have our guest. And normally we ask our guests to introduce themselves. Can you tell our viewer who you are?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for having me here, especially. My name is Arlen Ade, and I go by Dr. Arlen Ade. I'm a therapist in the United States, studied PhD in clinical counseling, and I am the leader of an organization called Ambassador of Clinical Counseling and Care Services in the U.S. But here we call ourselves Ambassador of Cupbearers because we are in affiliation with the local organization that understands the plight and traumas of people of this area here in Plateau State.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Globally, there are challenges across the world, and why have you zeroed down on Plateau State?
Well, I'll tell you, I did not come here of my own accord. I actually truly thought I could be of help these people when a certain man who lives in Jos, Plateau State, came to the U.S. where I serve as one of the pastors and explained about the plight and trauma of his people from Yobe State. But because he had moved to Plateau State and here in Jos, when he invited me, I came to Jos. And from one thing to another, we kept on seeing the struggles and just the issues in this area, and we felt that we should stay for now in the area, most especially what has been going on in Mangu local government. That particular has really highlighted for me the idea that it is good to try to help the people in this area, especially the issue of trauma.
Okay, let's get back to you before we continue the conversation on trauma and other aspects of the work. You have Dr. Allen Adi. Yeah, looks Nigerian, and
I know. I hear that a lot when I'm traveling to Nigeria. This is my fourth trip, and when I'm at the airport, they will always say, "You look Nigerian. Why are you carrying an American passport?" So, well, we used to Nigerians naturalizing as Americans. I said, "But I'm not even a Nigerian by birth." They said, "What do you mean? Your last name is Ade and so forth." Long story. I was born in Cameroon. I was born in a place called Boyam, the southwest region of Cameroon, and as a young minister, I was invited by a church in Washington, D.C. to come and help out the kids on the streets in D.C., believe it or not. I went to the U.S. as a missionary in 2002. And since then, I've been serving there for over 20 years. And that's how I went on to study counseling and so forth and became a professor and a therapist in the U.S.
well, perhaps a lot of people do different things for different reasons. And
Mm,
some people, because their parents were into ministry, they join in, no matter what they do, they still come back. For you, what was the calling from the beginning, from childhood?
From childhood, I really felt I'll be a diplomat. I thought at some point, you know what, someday I'll represent Cameroon as an ambassador somewhere in some country, and I latched onto the country of Canada at some point, for primary service in Cameroon, that's what they call it. I said, I'll be an ambassador. I remember this young girl called Ikeng Leng Hang Bong. Her father was like a diplomat in Canada. She had come to study in Cameroon. Very interestingly, so I began to develop that interest. And many years later, in secondary school, I found myself, not many years, maybe 2, 3 years later, found myself realizing I was just a religious guy, going to church, and I wasn't really changed. I would do the same thing that other boys would do until one young man told me about Jesus, brought him as my Lord and Savior. From that point on, I became an evangelist, thinking about God, about Jesus Christ. Then one thing led to another. Fast forward, I became a leader of a ministry in Cameroon called the Cameroon Youth for Jesus. I was like, okay, someday I'll become the lead evangelist of this ministry. Then this happened in 1999. Where a place in Yaoundé, Yaoundé is the capital city of
Yeah.
Cameroon, a retreat center, praying and asking God for His plan for our lives. And I was asking God in hopes He would tell me that I'm an evangelist, go and be a preacher of this ministry or whatever. And to my surprise, I heard in my heart, not a loud voice, you are a I was I was shocked. And I was saddened by that. Why? Because in my mind, a counselor is only someone who writes people's names down when the evangelist has preached to them and from the crowd, people will come out. And like, God, you're demoting me. So from that point, I just began praying that, okay, God, I want to be a counselor. I'll find evangelists who are helping people know God and begin to counsel. That I also seek from God that He will send me to America someday to give me something that I'll bring back to Africa. I never knew what it would be until this church invited me. Like I said before, a church in DC invited me to be there, singles pastor, young adult pastor, serving the kids on the streets of Washington, D.C. I went in 2002, and the rest is history. From one thing to another until I became a student at Liberty University, where I learned counseling at the master's level and doctoral level. And then I realized, oh, this is it. Began counseling as a therapist on campus, and then teaching as a professor. And then I'm now here to other people how to counsel and counseling those who are broken hearted.
Well, this is a diplomat for Christ, not for
Yes.
Cameroon.
There you go. And our name is actually ambassador for that reason.
Yes.
We believe that is a biblical thing to be an ambassador for Christ. And yeah, am I doing that?
Yeah. So you've not missed anything.
I'm not missed it. You got it.
This is the bigger one.
Yes.
Being for Christ is
Exactly.
much bigger.
The 2 Corinthians 5:20 says, for we are ambassadors of Christ. It's as though God were pleading through us that men should repent and be reconciled to God.
Perhaps parents look forward to their children being something other than preaching the gospel. Was there any thought about your parents? No, Arllen shouldn't be doing this. It should be one big financial institution or an engineer or something else.
You'll be surprised. My parents started off by hating what I was doing. As a kid in Cameroon, they were like, we don't want this. What is this thing? Go to school, do things normally. And then later, my mom finally came and said, you're my blessing. You are my blessing. They were all in the US. They died in the past in the US, but they became my staunch supporters after realizing the benefit my ministry was bringing to people in different countries, the US, in Africa especially. And they were like, we love you, we support you, keep going. My father, however, from the beginning, because he was a sportsman, my dad represented Cameroon 2 Olympic Games.
No.
The track and field athlete, yes, 3,000 meters and 5,000 meters people chase 1972, Munich, Germany, 1968, Mexico City, Mexico. So dad used to want me to be an athlete at some point, but because I had a car accident as a kid, I could not run. Now I'm doing better, but then it was like a disappointment in that sense. And months later, he too joined and became a strong supporter of what I did. Unfortunately, he died of COVID-19 in 2021, and he supported me also to the very end.
But doing what you're doing now, uh, talking to people, reaching people, looking at people with challenges,
Mm.
how challenging or how emotionally involved can that be? Because you go to different places, different issues,
Mhm.
especially in conflict areas. When one of your team members talk about Afghanistan, I will understand the ravaging continuous war. You live in a war zone and like things like that. And across Africa, there are conflicts.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I'll be honest, tell you that sometimes I'm so heartbroken and shed tears with people who are hurting. I was recently in Egypt a few months ago, and I saw the Sudanese people who have run away from the war going on right now, as we speak, and many have left everything behind. They have their homes destroyed, family members killed, and I was with them in Cairo. They saying, yeah, we're heartbroken, we lost everything. And there are about 200 of them in that conference that I was speaking. My heart just went out for them. Cases like that really break my heart. It's not just in here in Cairo, North Africa. It's all the way in Botswana, Zimbabwe. I was in Zimbabwe a few years ago. I saw similar things. Maybe not caused by war, but poverty can be traumatic. People who are really, really savaging in a sense because there was such a high inflation rate going on in the country when I was there. Like you see in Nigeria, people are suffering not just because of war and persecution and pain, but because of poverty. And I believe that it is everywhere, even in the United States where I come from. There are people begging on the streets, especially due to drug addictions. Now, that's my area of specialty.
Okay.
I'm an addiction specialist because my dissertation was written on addiction. My PhD was 10 years ago. I see a lot of broken people, especially in the United States, who are using drugs and alcohol to calm or allay their pain and stresses of life. My heart goes out for them a lot because I believe it's a real big problem, not just in America, but here in Africa. I've heard here about I've heard about this area. I've heard about the jungle, the people who are on drugs, who and live together, and all of that. So my heart goes out for all these kinds of problems, and especially in the church, in the body of Christ, we still have those. So they have trusted in God, and they still go through depression, anxiety, addictions of some form, and we are here to try to help, even though we are also broken. We call ourselves wounded healers, people who are not perfect, and who've learned a thing or two about how to help people find freedom from their addiction or bondage, find some kind of help from their emotional turmoil, bring regulation to their emotions, and also for their bad behaviors, help them change their behaviors or modify their behaviors to be better citizens in our community and in our nation.
Well, how do you go about this? Because I soul care,
Mm.
it's a new lexicon. It's not a
Mm.
normal language you hear on the streets about
Mm.
those who are in trauma healing or therapy.
Mm.
What is a component of this soul care?
No, yeah, it's a good question, sir. I'll tell you that because it's truly new as far as being in the lexicon of the English language. But it's not a new concept biblically. If you look at the way that God in the very beginning spoke to Adam, you see, in the beginning, after God had told Adam and Eve to not eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, God knowing everything, the Bible says he's omniscient, knows everything, knew that they had eaten of the fruit of the tree. And yet God came gently and asked Adam, Adam, where are you? First question. God cares for people that are under him. He says, where are you? To locate and situate him, he asked him where he was. Second, he asked him, when Adam said, I am here, but I'm hiding because I heard your steps coming in the garden, and I hid myself because I was naked. And God says, how do you know you're naked? Have you eaten of the fruit of the tree of which I said do not eat? God asked, and Adam answered, the woman you gave me. He began to blame shift. Long story short, God uses questions. Jesus did the same thing in the New Testament. You see him asking people, what do you want me to do for you? Blind Bartimaeus coming to him, he's blind. Thou son of David, have mercy on me. He's blind, everyone can see. He said, what do you want me to do? God asks questions. Why? Because questions help reveal their heart of issues. Soul care is really about this. Let me define soul care for you.
Yeah.
Soul care, biblical soul care, is being able to speak truth in love to people that are in need of it, with compassion and skill at your level of training or preparedness in your sphere of influence. To be a parent, a teacher, a pastor, a leader, regardless of who you are, to learn to speak truth in love when someone going through difficulty, caused by their error, and tell them in a truthful way and yet in loving way. Because it's where the truth that sets people free. So when you want to tell them the truth, you have to find a way to do it skillfully, lovingly, in a prepared way at your level, and then also those who are in your sphere of influence. And to conclude on this question, which is a very important question, I believe we who do counseling, a therapist doing it, a pastor doing it, or a psychiatrist doing it, we need to learn to do it in a way that's holistic, in a way that is really profound, that goes deep down to the root of the issue, not just the symptom, not just emotional regulation or behavioral modification or relational fixing when people are apart. To try the best you can to help them see where their problem came from. And the best way to do it is to ask questions. Ask heart revealing questions. We teach that in our course. And as God was asking Adam, asking, where are you? Have you eaten of the fruit of the tree? Was causing me to review, to introspect and go deep down. Can you do what God didn't want me to do? Same thing he did with Cain in Genesis chapter 4. When Cain was about to kill his brother Abel, he told his Cain, why is your countenance fallen? Why are you so angry? He knew why he was angry. So he asked him a question. And then Cain was like, am I my brother's keeper? And then God had told him, if you don't do what is right, you will not get what you want. If you do what is right, you will not get what you want. He said, you will not get accepted. In other words, he was discipling, diagnosing the issue. He said, you want acceptance. You want acceptance of your gift, your offering to me. Because if you accept it, you are now angry with your brother. You're jealous of it. If you do, question, if you do what is right, will you not get what you want? So it's so important that people learn this soul care concept because it's very holistic, it's very gentle, it's speaking truth in love. By asking deep questions, you know what truth to speak. And when you do it right, you get better and you get well over time.
Well, What question have the people of Africa asked?
What questions have you asked me?
Yeah,
Oh, sometimes they have asked
God
me.
ask questions. Now, based on questions, God responds. Now, in your own ministry,
Hmm?
what questions have you found out from Africans that you've embarked on this journey?
As far as what they need from
Yes.
me, well, I've been asked many questions, both by pastors and leaders of denominations, individuals in churches, politicians, have asked me questions, professors in universities. One of the questions I've been asked is, what really made you to leave? Like, you've studied all these things you've been through. You left everything. I was a full time, I was doing my professor work, a therapist in university, enjoying life. And I felt this call to pursue soul care and help. So asked me, are you going crazy? What is this? The American citizenship? You're coming, risking your life in northern Nigeria. And the other time I was coming from Abuja driving, and my car broke down in Kapanchan, when houses have been burned around. And my friends were like, you could have gotten killed very easily. So questions is asking, but what is really are you crazy? Nigerians in the US asking, what is it you're getting from this thing? Northern Nigeria? We cannot go to Northern Nigeria. You're going to Nigeria? That's one question. What are you doing? Are you crazy? One question people have asked me is, you know, would you come with more people to help out? Would you bring in more of your friends to help out? Is that possible? And I said, give me some time. And by God's grace, I came this time with 18 of my friends from 8 different countries. And they're specialists in different areas, and we have come to help. So those are questions being asked. Sometimes they ask me, are you married? I'm like, I'm thinking already. I've been married to my dear wife for 20 years by God's grace. We came from Cameroon together. We got married in the US. We engaged in Cameroon, traveled and got married in the US. God has blessed us with 3 children. One of them is at Liberty University, who's 19 years old. And the second one is a beautiful, beautiful daughter of ours. God has blessed us with Arlene, she's 15. Then there's AJ, AJ is 14. And they are all in Virginia.
I can see all of you love the Liberty University. You went there, your children are
My
there, your
children-
wife went there.
Yes, exactly.
What's special about the Liberty University?
Oh, Liberty University is so special for us because it's built on the principle of the train champions for Christ. The man who founded this university founded it in 1971 in a place called Lynchburg, Virginia. And he was a pastor, a journalist like yourself, Dr. Jerry Forward. To read about him more. He was a kingmaker. You know what? He was a man who mobilized so many people to vote the people they believed were supposed to be in power. He helped Ronald Reagan become president. He helped the second George Bush become president. His son helped Donald Trump become president. This is my point. This man was a real statesman, but a gospel preacher who cared about the building of the nation, not just the building of a religion, but the building of the nation. So I learned from him for 2 years as my pastor, and then he passed on. His son came on, and his son was like, Arllen, you finished your PhD, we'd like to send you to Africa to help start Liberty University online in Africa, in Harare, Zimbabwe. Long story short, we've been with them, we've loved the university, we've studied there. My wife also has a master's degree in nursing administration, and we believe that our kids will come to the university and learn and grow from
Well, you've been touring Africa and you've seen Africa. You came from Africa, you're back to Africa,
right.
to give to Africa. What are the issues you're looking at? How can we overcome them?
That's a broad question, very difficult question, also, because there are many issues. I believe that one of our main issues that we're dealing, with in Africa is leadership. By leadership, I'm not thinking about political leadership necessarily. I'm thinking about personal, individual leadership first of yourself before being able to lead others well. So when I go around and people point to politicians, I understand what they're saying. And I think that if you really face the truth, you realize a lot of us are not leading ourselves well. Who is a leader? I'm also a certified John Maxwell leadership leader and coach. I teach people leadership in the US as well. Leadership is the ability to influence yourself and influence others in the right direction. Leaders motivate so that people who have caught the vision they're sharing can pick up their stuff and follow them to where they're going. Leaders are ahead showing the way, going the way, and people follow them as they go the way of the vision.
Okay,
Now,
let's stop there and let me ask the future of what you're doing. What are the prospects and how do you envision the future?
what I believe is because, like Reverend Daniel said earlier on, our course, some of our courses are entitled Uncommon Leadership. Uncommon leadership in the area of counseling, uncommon leadership in the area of trauma care, uncommon leadership in the area of soul care and so forth. What I envision, and I envision that for my continent Africa, is that by 2030 we'll be in all 55 or so nations of Africa. We're raising young people to live themselves well, to care for their mental health, to pursue an education, and be able to help their families and their communities. My hope is to raise leaders in the area of mental health care who are able to help themselves, their families, their communities, and hopefully their nations get better.
Okay. 20 years in marriage,
Yes, sir.
2 kids or three?
Three.
So how did you meet her?
I remember I was doing this kind of thing. You know, the benefits, I'm telling you, maybe not financial benefits, it's draining me financially.
Yeah.
But in terms of my emotional, relational life, I met my wife in 1999, a place called Bamenda in Cameroon, at a youth conference like this. They came to help in the area of evangelism, and she was one of those in the mass choir. So we don't deal with individual churches, we deal with we work across denominational boundaries. So she belonged to a different denomination, and we came together to share the faith with the youth. And met her in this place called Bamenda Congress Hall, and one thing led to another. By the year 2000,
Was it love at first sight?
I can say it was not a first time for me, but not for her.
Okay.
She was not, see, I'm not handsome. My wife is a pretty and a gorgeous woman. She was a nurse, by the way, at hospitals, and doctors always tell my wife, you meet your calling. I've been a model.
Oh.
You know, so she's a pretty woman. It was love at first sight for me, though from that point on, we began to build a friendship. And so by 2000, I asked her to become my special friend. She told me, I do not do that. Because
Oh.
virgin woman, never been with a man. I was never been with a woman. So it was like, no, I'm not used to that. Let's just follow God. I kept pursuing. By 2001, I popped the question. I love you. I want to marry you. Will you marry me? It was June 29th, 2001, when I proposed to her, and she said yes. And by 2004, January 17th, in the US, we got married to each other. And we married ever since.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
So we're going to wrap this conversation on this note because it's been wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you.
Hearing from you, doing a wonderful job for humanity. I'm looking forward to having you again. We've been having a conversation with Dr. Arllen Adi, an African.
Yes. Yes.
And an American citizen for that matter. But he's an ambassador for Christ. He wanted to be a diplomat, but he became a diplomat for Christ.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Hope to have you again.
And thank you. I look forward to you having us again. And we're looking forward, if you don't mind, to doing more things in this area, mobilizing the churches and others who are interested in really improving the life quality of people, their mental health, and also bringing the gospel alongside. So stay in touch. Hopefully, you'll be hearing more from us about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.